It's time for today's face-off on Fox Soul. Challengers Quanell X and Big Angry Adams, ready to go blow by blow on those hot topics. Face-off on Fox Soul starts right now.
Springs mother is charged with child abuse after her daughter was found overdosing at a motel off Bienville Boulevard earlier this year. Now, Ocean Springs police began investigating Brittany Hensley in July after first responders found her daughter unresponsive, along with empty prescription medication bottles. Hensley and the child were both taken to the hospital for treatment, and now authorities are saying Hensley made a suicide pact with her daughter, her child now in the care of Child Protective Services.
CPS has already been investigating them for some prior incidents that had happened. They had been in the city only about 3 weeks and had generated a number of calls from us, so we've had some prior interactions with them. The officers that responded to that felt like CPS may need to get involved, and so they were already investigating the family, the mother and the daughter, prior to the incident that happened for us.
In this round, here's Quanell X.
You mean to tell me this no good, dirty, low-down snake of a mother, to even call her mother is an insult to all mothers? This big old nasty hippo-looking monster made a suicide pact with her 10-year-old daughter and let the child go through with it, and she decided not to? Let me tell you something. The words I'm looking for is rhymes with itch, like you said earlier. That broad need to be whooped, kicked, and have a hole dug in the ground and stick her in it. Why in the world would any mother on planet Earth make a suicide pact with your own daughter, your own child, then let your child go through with it? See, she don't need no trial. She don't need no long trial. Show us the evidence. If it's factual, life without parole.
You know, something that I don't think is amplified enough, we're talking about a 10-year-old child who had to be intubated after being treated. I don't know why we didn't do this person, Matt, as the face-off F-up of the day, because I most certainly don't want people thinking that we're having an argument. I guess, if we're supposed to be black versus white, I should be sticking up for the white walrus. Oh, I mean, that's the program, right? But here's the thing. What a pig of a woman, and I don't mean pig because she's fat. I'm fat too.
She big, fat, nasty, obese pig.
Because what kind of person
trifling, bro?
It convinces a 10-year-old, because no 10-year-old makes a decision to commit suicide. So she convinces a 10-year-old to commit suicide. She allows her to take all those pills and almost die. And instead of going through with it and doing her part, she chickens out. Now, thank God, we don't know the medical condition of the child, but she did survive the overdose.
Child's still in the hospital. But where's the attempted murder charge?
Yeah, I mean, this woman.
Where's the attempted murder charge?
This woman needs to spend years.
And how'd she get a $500,000 bond? She shouldn't even have a bond.
Well,
she shouldn't even have a bond.
I mean, I'm guessing she's not going to be able to make that bond, so
she shouldn't even have a bond.
But maybe instead of jail, just cut off her access to Taco Bell and Hardee's chicken or whatever the hell else that Brittany is eating. But really, at what point, how do you get to the point?
You can't make this stuff up.
It sounds like they were struggling. Sounds like they were living in a hotel. Sounds like they were part of this new American culture of homelessness, adjacent people who are going from hotel to shelter to hotel.
And that's happening quite a bit.
The economy combined with the job market and inflation. So we don't know what sort of struggles this woman was having. But there is no excuse.
Do you realize that woman could have got on social media and say, look, my daughter and I are struggling with living in motels. We're to the point to where I may be suicidal. My child is traumatized. Is there anybody out there that will take my child and help her?
She could have
because
gone to the government.
I cannot say she's safe with me.
She could have gone to CPS. She could have gone to the police.
That's
she
horrible,
could have gone
man.
anywhere.
That's horrible.
And said, I can't care for this child. I need help.
That's horrible.
The question. So they were in Ocean Springs.
You can't make this stuff up.
They were in Mississippi for 3 weeks, or at least in this community in Mississippi for 3 weeks prior. And it does sound like CPS and the police were involved, but it does also seem like maybe they should have intervened already, right? Like, how bad does it have to be before you take some action? And can you imagine sitting down and convincing your kid to take enough pills to kill them.
That's a monster.
And then
That is an absolute monster.
Going back to your White Castle burger or whatever cheap, nasty fast food you've been shoving in your craw for the last 3 decades to make yourself look like a balloon with a face and eyeballs. This, and I say this again, I'm obese, I need to lose some weight.
She should never be allowed to get that child back. That child should never be allowed to ever be in that woman's possession or custody ever again. In fact, her paternal rights should be terminated.
Well, I mean, and the thing is, hopefully the child gets the therapy they're going to need to realize what a monster the mother is, as opposed to them blaming themselves, lamenting and wanting to return to the mother, because she would never be safe with that woman.
And what I want to say is that her parental rights should be terminated.
Well, certainly,
she should never be allowed to be around that child like any other child ever in her life.
This is Munchausen by proxy writ large, which we're seeing a lot in America, where people use their kids to get attention for themselves, right? We see it in a number of communities, a number of instances where children are being pushed into things that they don't necessarily agree with because of the attention it gets the parent. But here, clearly this mother was trying to get the daughter to kill herself so she could benefit from the empathy associated with losing one's daughter to suicide. But there's zero chance that a 10-year-old shouldn't even have access to these kind of pills.
And
but
the pills
were
prescription pills prescribed to the mother.
Right. It's all terrifying. And thank God the Ocean Springs was able to save her life.
It's really scary
and it just
to hear
shows
something like this.
There are so many desperate people in this country right now.
The mother should go to prison.
Hopelessness.
That mother should go straight to prison.
Should rot in prison, and they should limit her caloric intake as her punishment.
I have no problem with that.
In this round, here's Charles Big Angry Adams.
Well, now, I didn't know we were getting so risque here on this last night. I would like to, Matt Horn, our producer, if we could go moving forward, if we could not show muscular man buns on this program.
That's somebody's woman.
Is that something you want to see?
That's somebody's woman. He was doing that too.
That is somebody's woman.
That's somebody's woman.
That is somebody's woman, but not no more, because he done broke up with her. And that's my question for you, Quanell. If your wife, girlfriend, fiance, paramour, side chick, baby mama, whatever, somebody you're in a relationship with, gets up on a stage at a concert, and I don't even know who the hell that was. Let's say it's somebody real famous, right? Let's say it's, I can't, Travis Scott or Kanye or Drake. Let's say Drake. I guess Drake is the more appropriate example. Let's say Drake drags a woman up there and gets all up in her business, all free. Justin Bieber dropped some Bieber bombs on her, right? And then look, I don't know, he pulled down his pants.
He pulled down his pants and showed his naked ass.
Did he also have his front side out? Did he have his tool out?
As low as he pulled them.
Right. And
it had to fall out. Let me say
it
to you,
seems like
Charles,
he was rubbing it in her face.
If that was your side piece on stage with that dude,
yeah,
it is what it is, man. You know what time it is. That's your side piece.
Right.
It is what it is. She doing her thing, you doing yours. If that was your girlfriend, oh, hell no. You ain't my girlfriend no more. If that was your wife, when she got home from that show, all her kids knit was supposed to be in the driveway next to the garbage can because she can jump in the garbage can with her stuff. Ain't nowhere in the hell that would be my wife on stage, my woman on stage, and a man then pulled down his drawers, showed his natural ass, and he hitting her doggy style. Then he flip her over and hitting her from behind, and then he wrap her wide, one leg in the east, one leg in the west, and he got his head down in her crotch trying to do his best. Hell no, she wouldn't be my wife no more.
Well, east, west,
Hell
and
no.
he was down in the Grand Canyon, so to speak. But okay, I don't want to talk about dogs.
Down there eating a fur burger, eating a Harry hamburger. Hell
like
no.
A niece or a cousin or your sister doing that, how would you respond?
Now, that was my niece. If that was my niece, you look for Uncle Quan when I see you. I might have that belt in my hand. I don't give a damn how old you are.
What if she was grown?
If what?
Like 26,
I
27.
don't care if that was my adult niece. My niece is an adult. My niece Monique is a grown woman.
Well, I wasn't talking about
and I'm gonna tell you
specific.
right now, sweetheart, if Uncle Quan ever see you doing something like that on stage, you better watch
Okay.
out when you see me.
So-
Because I'm gonna take off that belt and I'm gonna correct you.
So let's flip the script.
And don't mention my daughter.
What if it was, I don't mention
Don't you mention
daughters.
one of my daughters.
No, flip the script.
Because it'll be a murder.
What if it was a female artist? What if it was Cardi B showing her natural butt and rubbing her front butt on a man on stage? Well, let's say a nephew of yours. Would you be upset? What if it was you? Would your partner be upset if they have some female artist
First of all, let me
on
say
your
this.
business?
If that was Cardi B or Meg Thee Stallion, and that
Meg's
was,
a little young for you, man.
and that was one of my nephews or my sons, I would want to talk to my boys about the traumatic experience. I'd want them to explain to me in detail what happened, how it took place. Did you have a funny taste? Was it like strawberries or peaches? I would want to know.
So it's okay
I
for the
can't
goose,
counsel.
but
I
not
cannot
for the
counsel my
gander.
boys or my nephews correctly if I don't understand in proper context the experience and what they went through. I need to know. Was it juggly? Was it firm or so? I can't talk to them to help them if I don't know what they just properly
Okay.
went through.
So just to be clear, if a woman did that to a man, it's okay. If a woman artist did it to a male. And do you think a female should be able to break up with her man if her man gets up there?
To be
Or
honest,
should break up with them?
honest with you,
And then some
if that
female
was your
artist, Cardi
man,
B got her
if
kitten all
that
over
was
him,
your man on stage with Cardi B, Meg Thee Stallion, Beyonce, any female
throwing
artist,
it down.
you better get the hell away from him. Because what he's doing on stage, he will do in private behind your back also. If he has no moral sense of shame, if his self-respect and self-decency is that low where he will get on stage in front of tens of thousands and do that, trust me, he doing everything under the sun that's inappropriate behind your back.
Okay, so you think either way, either sex, either gender,
You got to go.
gotta go. Okay.
But
so-
I'm not saying that the man should be punished. She should leave him for at least 3 days so he can get himself together.
Okay, let me
And
throw-
after a
let me-
3-day
let me-
suspension, reevaluate the
Let
punishment,
me throw you another
talk to
curveball.
him.
Of course, y'all do that. Let's say we're talking about a nephew or a cousin or relative again. It's a dude
What do you mean?
and a dude.
Come on, man.
Come on.
Come on, bro. Come
So
on.
if it was a dude that
Come
got
on,
his
man.
natural bare
Come
butt
on,
out
bro. Really?
and gave
Really?
a lap dance to
Really?
another dude,
Really, bro?
well, what you saying?
Really, bro?
What are you saying to that
Come on,
cousin?
man. Really?
What are you saying to that nephew?
Let me tell you something. Let me tell my nephew something right now. And my son something right now. I bet not ever.
But what if that's their
I bet not ever.
What if they are
I
okay with it?
I bet not
What
ever.
What if they're
Don't you come to Thanksgiving dinner.
bisexual orientation?
Don't you come to Christmas
or
dinner.
homosexual?
Excuse me?
What if they have a different sexual orientation?
Well, I tell you what, let Uncle Quan know you got that going on.
Okay, but I'm saying.
Don't let me find out on stage like
So
that.
is it?
Don't let me find out on
Is
stage
the
like
problem that it was on stage, or the problem
Excuse
generally?
me. God said Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve.
Even God
He
didn't
said
really-
Adam
God-
and
God
Eve,
didn't really
not
weigh in on
Eve
that.
and Louise.
Okay, God-
Bottom line is, if one of my nephews on stage like that with another man, I'm looking for you too.
Okay, but what if he's?
I'm looking to find
What
you
if he's
too.
in a private room like with another man
And
like that?
that's pathetic.
How about it's just their business?
Excuse me, that is your business. Just don't let me find out.
Why?
Because you got to come talk to your uncle.
About what?
We got to have a meeting.
About what?
We're going to have that meeting with Jesus.
Okay, Jesus going to come down
That
from
big meeting with
the
Jesus.
escalator down here.
That big meeting with Jesus.
So, and what if Jesus says, "Hey, I'm cool with it. I just want you to
No,
be loved
Jesus
and
don't
happy"?
talk like that.
How do you know?
That's the new Jesus you hypocrites follow.
Now, how do you
Jesus
know?
don't talk like that.
I would disagree.
Now you're going to make Jesus a gay man. Stop, dude.
Hey, man, Jesus to each his own, man.
In today's Face Off, up.
A student accused of suffocating her newborn is ordered bond. A judge set Brianna Moore's bond at $260,000 after an emotional hearing today. It included photos and descriptions of what her roommates heard that morning back in April. Fox 13's Evan Axelbank reports from the Hillsborough County Courthouse.
The judge ended up setting a much lower bond than prosecutors had asked for, saying that the details of the case were enough to disturb anyone.
Brianna Moore walked into court to hear the details of the morning that changed the rest of her life and ended that of her little girls.
The defendant told security and EMS that the blood in the bathroom was just from a heavy period and that she was not pregnant and has never been pregnant.
Detectives told the judge she admitted she might have been in denial of being pregnant, but that seconds after delivery, she owned up to clutching the baby to her chest for between 3 and 10 minutes.
That baby was born alive. That baby was breathing. She cried loud enough and long enough for the suite mates and roommates to be awoken by it. And when they heard that and when the defendant heard it, she silenced it.
She said she wrapped the baby in a towel and put her in a garbage can. Her roommates, who thought the sounds from the bathroom at 7 a.m. were parts of their own dreams, discovered it later and called police. An autopsy found she died by suffocation and had broken ribs.
So I can see why the first mother in today's shows was not the F-up of the day, and instead Brianna Moore, this second, only a mother for a few minutes, the University of Tampa student, is the face-off. I mean, this is heartbreaking. We don't know the math of this young girl who clearly was hiding the pregnancy from her friends and her family and then killed the baby. It sounds like matricide. She, crushed the baby to death, suffocated the child. It's all heartbreaking. But again, this is, and I know we've talked about this issue, but in Florida, one of the many states where we've seen a war on women's access to reproductive care and reproductive freedom, that, I mean, you're going to see, I think we're going to see more and more of this, especially as we see the Republican Party strive to limit access to Plan B pills, to abortion medication, to other things, where these young girls, which almost always walks hand in hand with limitations on access to birth control, where these young girls are making mistakes and making bad decisions and then are overwhelmed by the cost and consequence of their life, and they do something horrible. And this is why we need to protect, and the way to encourage more women in this country to have babies is to make child care, health care more accessible, opportunities more accessible. It's not by denying them. And, who knows if this girl would have had access to an abortion pill or an abortion clinic or a Plan B pill, we might not have ever got to this stage where a child born alive was brutally murdered in the worst possible way.
But there were
Frankly,
other
her life is over.
But there were other things she could have done. There were other options afforded to her.
You don't know the dynamic of her family?
Let me say this, Charles. That does not matter, Charles.
But you got to sit in the shoes of a young
adoption.
girl.
There's always adoption,
Right,
Charles.
but you've got to
just give the baby up,
But
Charles.
there are some girls that don't feel like they can tell their parents.
Charles,
There's some people that don't
at
have
her
a
age,
safety net.
she could give that child up. She's an adult,
Okay.
and the parents never have to know. Charles, my problem with this is, I would want to see. I would want to see
delivering a
what
baby
the
is
psychological
outrageous.
evaluation is of this
Okay.
young woman, because it could be she was mentally unstable or just totally mentally
She murdered
ill.
a baby. Clearly, she's
But
got
at
a
the
problem.
same time, her quote-unquote suite mates, her roommates, I believe had she gone to them and say, listen, this is what I'm facing, this is what I'm dealing with. I'm having bad thoughts about harming my child when I give birth to it. Can you help me?
Apparently
I
they
believe,
didn't know. Apparently she hid the pregnancy.
Exactly. I believe they would have helped her, Charles. There are other agencies out there that would have helped her. There are agencies who would have gave her a ride to a whole different state to do it the legal way if she couldn't do it in Florida. There were too many options out there for her outside of murdering the child,
I
Charles.
absolutely agree. Let's be fair. Republicans are trying to make it across this country illegal for you to leave your state to seek abortion services elsewhere. And this war on women,
but still, it's not illegal in Florida to leave state and do it somewhere else.
In the last election, and it will continue to play a role in the elections to come. It's creating the circumstance where women don't have the options, right? Oftentimes, as we both know, men don't stick around. People come from religious families or conservative families.
But when you look at her expression in court, my concern is, my concern is,
I mean, she killed a baby.
Had she had a nervous breakdown before?
Well, obviously she had some sort of breakdown.
Had she been mentally broken before she actually had the child? Were there warning signs and telltale signs that friends and family overlooked about her mental state of mind before she had the child? Because it looks like she kept it concealed from everybody.
We don't.
But I'm concerned here, Charles, that before we punish her,
girls,
but before she is punished,
are only doing what boys
that a
pressure
mental
them
health
to do.
evaluation needs to be performed in detail on this young woman before she's thoroughly punished.
I agree, but I think that hopefully that
it's a sad story,
she'll
man.
get aggressive representation, and this won't be the end of her life like it was the end of her baby's life, but it probably will be. But the truth is,
I hope not.
It's specific to her. But let's talk about.
I do believe that even
Florida
though what she
generally,
did was wrong,
the Deep South
I
generally,
believe she could be
Texas,
rehabilitated.
I mean, here's the thing. We need to do more outreach. We need to provide more avenues for young teenagers, girls,
but
that
those
are getting
impregnated are there,
by
Charles,
guys who are just
to
trying
where she
to
didn't
smash.
have to do this, Charles.
Well,
the avenues are there, Charles.
Yeah, but actually they're not in a lot of southern states.
That's it for the Face Off on Fox Soul. We'll catch you next time.